And then last, we have some great stuff developing in the Continental tire series. I think a fantastic idea and solidification of bringing in GT4 to replace what is a GS. You and I spoke a little bit. It might take a little bit of salesmanship for me to fully grasp the TCR possibility and ST. A little longer lead time there, but tell us about those decisions and thought processes.
Well, first of all, GS isn't going away as a class. Grand Sports within the Continental Tire Sports Car Challenge will remain. For 2017, we're grandfathering any GS car that's running today that's eligible, and we actually have a plan in place that if a major manufacturer that has a car that's currently eligible, but for whatever reason isn't competing today, they want to race in 17 as a grandfathered car, likely that'll be possible. But as we have already done, the GT4 technical rules and regulations will be incorporated, phased into the GS class. Today, if you have a GT4 car that's homologated for that, you're welcome. Come on in. We have forged a relationship with the Stefan Rattel organization, SRO, which is the entity that has control over GT4 in terms of the rules, the regulations, and the homologation of the cars. So that enables us to incorporate another global set of technical regs. And if you look around the manufacturers that either already have a GT4 car or have one under development or are seriously considering, it's a very impressive list. Now, why are we doing this? Historically, the GS class has always been about independent teams, aftermarket tuners being able to take a street car, convert it into a race car per the GS rules, and go racing. Today's typical production car has now incorporated into it so much technology, much of it having nothing in common with what makes for a good race car. So it's airbags, it's accident avoidance technology, it's lane alert systems, etc. All of this, when uncoupled to make a street car into a race car, effectively, most often makes the car inoperable. As a result, even the best resourced independent team is really struggling to make those cars work as street car to race car conversions. What GT4 does is work directly with manufacturers that take these cars off the assembly line and earmark them to become race cars. So you've got a manufacturer that's selling a finished race car product to an end user. We realize that there's some that won't be happy about this. I wish that the option for teams to be able to convert street cars to race cars still existed. In GS, we know what the reality is because we've experienced it. Transitioning over to our ST class, the street tuner. Right now, it's an example of don't fix it if it's not broken. The car counts are strong, the teams are healthy, everybody really is saying don't fix it. But we're trying to be a bit more proactive there and keep an eye over the horizon. There's another category of car that has already taken hold in Europe called TCR. TCR stands for touring car racing. Not very inventive, but effective nonetheless. We again have started an active formal relationship with Marcello Latti, who is the creator of TCR, similar role, rules, regulations, car homologation. And for 17, status quo in ST. For 18, we would expect at least the introduction of TCR technology to come into play. We will take now a wait-and-see approach. So nothing's firm, nothing's cast in stone. We're going to work on you, Marshall, independently. But the reality is the same situation that has created the current environment we're in GS has the potential of repeating in ST. And rather than waiting, because I think candidly we're a bit behind the curve in GS, we'd rather stay ahead of the curve in ST, provide our teams, competitors, and the manufacturers the kind of predictable runway that should there be a need and a desire to bring that TCR technology into play, we'll be ready for it.
Last question for you, and I've heard a lot of great feedback already. I don't know if we're going to get back to the old days of the Firehawk series with 24-hour endurance races with what we have now in the Conti series, but there's been a lot of excitement of cool. We might have some longer races coming. Tell us about that choice.
Yeah, it's a two-pronged approach. So it kind of flies in the alternative direction of what you referenced there, in that the standard Continental Tire Challenge race will now be 2 hours instead of the more traditional 2 hours and 30 minutes, which it has been. But we also have added two 4-hour races. So opening up the season at Daytona with a 4-hour true endurance race, and then closing out at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca in September. We need a little asterisk at the end of that one. Everyone is confident, Jill Campbell and her team out at Mazda Raceway included, that can soon be confirmed, but there is some protocol and procedure that needs to be followed. It didn't go on the calendar as a TBD. It just went on there to say, a little wiggle room still yet to go, but we're confident that'll come into play. And like you, we've heard a lot of positives. I wasn't around in the previous days of the what you referenced, but I'm told that those longer distance races for that category of car were really interesting. And again, the fan feedback immediately has been positive.